There is a question most people never think to ask, because the answer seems so obvious. Who are you? You point to your body. Maybe you point to your name, your job, your memories. You say, "This is me. This face in the mirror. This collection of experiences stored somewhere behind my eyes." But here is something worth sitting with for a moment. Every single sense you have been given, every sight, every sound, every physical sensation, was designed not to show you all of reality, but to filter it down to one narrow, manageable band of it. Your outer senses don't reveal the world. They construct a specific version of it. And in doing so, they have been quietly convincing you that this version, the physical one, is the only version of you that exists. What if that is the most fundamental misunderstanding a human being can hold? And what if there is an architecture to who you are that runs far deeper, far wider, and far more permanent than anything those senses can touch? By the end of this, you will have a completely different understanding of what you actually are, not as a philosophical idea, as a working reality. In the last video, we talked about the present moment as your point of power, that exact spot where your consciousness meets physical reality and shapes it. That idea points to something bigger. Because if the present moment is where consciousness and flesh intersect, then the natural next question is, what is that consciousness exactly? How large is it? What is it made of? Most of us have been handed a story about who we are. It goes something like this. You are born, you develop a personality, you accumulate experiences, and you carry those experiences forward in a linear line until the body stops working. That's the story. A single thread moving in one direction. But that story is told entirely by your outer senses. And your outer senses, as good as they are at what they do, are highly specialized instruments. They are built to lock you into one specific perceptual channel, the three-dimensional, physically oriented one, and to make everything outside that channel seem invisible, or if it does break through, to make it seem like imagination. The result is that most people spend their entire lives identified with one narrow expression of themselves, while the larger architecture of what they actually are remains completely unexplored. Think about what your physical senses actually do. They take raw experience, a vast multidimensional event, and they translate it into the specific signals your brain can process. Light becomes color. Pressure becomes touch. Vibration in the air becomes sound. This is remarkable. But notice what happens in translation. Information is lost. Compressed. The microbe living on the bark of a tree experiences that tree as an entire universe. The bird perched in its branches experiences something else entirely. A human standing beneath it experiences yet another version. All of them real. All of them valid. And none of them complete. The physical senses force you into one of those perspectives and make it feel like the only one. This is their function. It is not a flaw. It is a design. To operate effectively in physical reality, you need focus. You need to block most of the signal so you can act on a specific portion of it. But here is where it becomes important. You are not only the filter, you are also the signal. Imagine your identity is like a city, what you can see from street level, the buildings, the traffic, the faces passing by. That is your ego, your conscious personality, real, functional, necessary. But beneath that street, there are layers, infrastructure that powers everything above it. Water lines, electrical grids, communication cables running in every direction. You don't see any of it while you are walking the sidewalk, but without it, nothing above would exist or function. Your outer senses give you the street-level view. They are superb at it, but they have nothing to say about what runs beneath. There are inner senses, perceptual tools that operate at a different level of your being entirely. They don't translate experience into physical signals. They allow you to encounter experience more directly, in a freer form, before it gets compressed into the physical version. They are always active. You use them constantly in dreams, in sudden intuitions, in those moments of knowing something before you have any rational reason to know it. The problem is not that these inner senses don't work. The problem is that you have been taught to dismiss everything they show you. Here is something specific and concrete. Your physical body, the one you identify as you, is being formed moment by moment as a direct result of your inner conceptions of yourself. Not yesterday's conceptions. Not the ones your parents had. Your present ones. Consciousness always creates form. That is not a poetic statement. It is a description of how the system actually works. Your emotional and psychic existence creates varieties of physical form. You manipulate within the inner psychological environment first, and those manipulations are automatically impressed upon the physical one. This means that what you think of as your solid, fixed physical self is actually the output of something deeper. The body you live in is less like a permanent structure and more like a current painting, a focused, moment-by-moment expression of an artist who is always working, whether you are conscious of them or not. And that artist, that deeper dimension of what you are, is not limited to this particular expression. Let that land for a second. You have a rich variety of probable characteristics that exist in latent form right now. Abilities you sense but haven't developed. Directions you nearly took. Expressions of yourself that remain available, waiting on the choice to activate them. Your identity is not a fixed thing delivered at birth and running down a single track. It is multidimensional. It contains more avenues of expression and fulfillment than the conscious mind has so far been willing to explore. These probable achievements lie dormant not because they don't exist, but because consciousness, your focused, street-level consciousness, has not yet decided to bring them into being. The act of decision itself is what activates the deeper mechanisms. When you consciously direct your attention toward a capacity you want to develop, not obsessively, not desperately, but with genuine, committed intent, you set off a chain reaction at levels far below what you can observe. The unconscious architecture responds. It begins selecting, from the field of probability, the specific experiences and information that will support that development. Quantum physicists have spent decades arriving at a conclusion that sounds at first like science fiction. The act of observation participates in determining what is observed. A particle does not have a fixed position until it is measured. Before measurement, it exists as a field of probabilities. The observation itself collapses that field into one specific outcome. This is not mysticism. This is the current peer-reviewed understanding of how physical matter actually behaves, at its most fundamental level. What consciousness research is beginning to catch up to is something that the inner architecture of experience suggests far more directly. Perception and creation are not separate events. Your physical senses create the reality they perceive. This isn't a metaphor for positive thinking. It is a description of an actual process. When Abraham Hicks speaks of aligning with a vortex, a field of potential from which specific experiences are drawn, they are pointing at the same underlying mechanic. The outer circumstances you experience are always downstream of an inner orientation, and the most powerful point at which that orientation can be set or changed is again exactly where we began, the present moment. The bridge between the two ideas is this. The present is your point of power not just because your choices happen there, but because your consciousness, in all of its depth and dimension, is most fully concentrated there. It is where the inner architecture meets the physical output. It is where the signal becomes the city. Today, carry one question with you, not as a task, as a quiet inquiry running in the background. When you catch yourself reacting to something in your physical experience, a frustration, a worry, a sense of limitation, pause for just a moment and ask, what inner conception is this the physical expression of? Not to judge it, not to immediately try to change it, just to recognize that what you are looking at on the outside is always a materialization of something already present on the inside. The painting on the wall reflects the artist at work, whether you are watching or not. When you begin to genuinely believe that, when it stops being an idea and starts being something you actually feel to be true about how you function, you stop being frightened of your circumstances and start being curious about your own depth. That shift is the beginning of everything. Thank you for being here. If the architecture of your soul shapes your subjective experience, it also shapes something far more immediate, your physical body. In the next video, we go directly there, into how the deepest levels of what you are write the specific instructions that govern your health, your vitality, and the biological reality you live inside. The body is not separate from the mind. It is the mind's most intimate creation. And that means it is far more changeable than you have been told. That is next. See you there.